Bush and Scott Walker. There's even a bigger debate happening with Democrats as Joe Biden and other candidates are threatening Hillary Clinton. Edelman Berland CEO Mike Berland is with me today, and Proactive Communications President Mark Serrano are here. Mike, I want to start with you. You have some exclusive data leading up to tomorrow night's debate.
Yeah, you know what? Last week, Maria, you and I were talking about Hillary Clinton's campaign.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to run a little poll over the weekend to see what's really going on in the Democratic primary. And here's what I found. There is some desire for another candidate to jump into the Democratic primary, but it's not Joe Biden. Joe Biden simply doesn't matter. And I'm going to share with you an exclusive poll that I did with 1,000 registered Democrats that are going to look at this data. First of all, 2 out of 3 of registered Democrats who are likely to vote in the primary are satisfied with the candidate. So only 1 out of 3 are actually looking for someone else to jump in. And the profile of those who are jumping in are male, middle-aged, middle income.
Okay.
And I look at some markers to see, okay, where is the Democratic Party? So I look at the direction of the country. And what we're going to see in the next chart is that half of them think the country is going in the right direction. Half of them think the country is going off on the wrong track. What that means is that that's a referendum on the current administration. Democrats are divided if this president has actually taken us. And so even within the Democratic Party, Maria, they're split. Now, the Republicans, it's much further wrong track, and they're looking for some new direction.
Right.
So that's a signal to us that the next candidate from the Democratic Party is not probably going to come out of this administration. It has to be somebody on the outside. And if I look at the current horse race of what's going on in the Democratic Party, Hillary Clinton is leading Joe Biden by 4-1. Now, remember, I started this poll on Friday. The story with Maureen Dowd broke on the New York Times on Sunday. By today, the New York Times is already urging Biden to sort of cool a little bit because they're looking at the same data that we're looking at right now. Hillary Clinton has a 4-1 lead over Joe Biden.
Wow.
He cannot win. Her support is so solid with women who work on their feet, with African Americans, with other minority groups. There's no space for Joe Biden. She's kicked his butt once. She can kick his butt again. He's not the issue. So that doesn't mean that a candidate can't jump into the Democratic Party, the primaries, but it's not going to be Joe Biden.
Yeah.
And then so I said, well, okay, here's how we can look at it. What if for some reason Hillary Clinton had to drop out? A health reason, one of these issues that's bubbling up, and for some reason she's not going to be part of the election. I said, well, what if it would be Elizabeth Warren? What if it would be Al Gore, Joe Biden? And so I ran that horse race, taking Hillary out. And here's the startling finding. Al Gore gives Joe Biden a run for his money. Al Gore,
wow,
who hasn't been in politics for 15 years, who was the last vice president of a successful, is virtually a statistical tie.
And is that because people basically see Joe Biden as a continuation of the Obama presidency?
I think that's a strong part of it, that he's a continuation. And he was rejected as being the Democrats' nominee in 2008. He had a scandal, as you'll recall, in 1988. This guy has tried now several times to be president. And just because he's in the Obama administration and he's a new face, there was a swirl. But now the swirl is going to end. I don't see Joe Biden jumping in. This is not the right circumstance. That doesn't mean that we couldn't see someone else, but not him.
Mark Serrano, jump in here. What's your take on that, and also your take on the GOP field?
Sure. So let's remember, go back 6 months. Did anyone really think that a socialist would be within the margin of error in New Hampshire versus Hillary Clinton? I don't think so.
Yeah.
So if we take a look at Michael's data is very interesting and intriguing at this moment in time. But, you know, Joe Biden is going to be the choice of the party elite as a backup. The party elite are going to want a backup because Hillary Clinton's they're not just little problems. Hillary Clinton is being investigated by the FBI, and that's not a right-wing conspiracy. That's a Democrat administration. FBI is taking a look at her server problems. And on top of that, she's going to be testifying before a House committee next month on Benghazi. Look, this is a scandal-plate candidate, not a huge surprise coming from a Clinton. But the problem the Democrats have is they need to consider Hillary Clinton out of this race. The polling data is interesting, but I have to tell you, the party elite will look for a backup, and they want to have one. And that's why Joe Biden will enter this race. And you know what? He does have some power of incumbency. as the sitting vice president, as Al Gore knew, years ago, he does have the power of the media and the draw. He has the power of party insiders and chits that he's built across 50 states for the past 8 years. There is, I'll tell you, there will be a hue and cry for Joe Biden to get into the race because party elites are going to be very, very nervous.
So you say but Joe Biden doesn't matter because Democratic primary voters are content with Hillary Clinton as their candidate. I have to challenge that premise because I could be satisfied with something 1 second, and if something better comes along, I could certainly move on to that.
But Joe Biden isn't something better. Joe Biden is just something, and that's the issue. If Hillary, for some reason, if you're right, and for some reason Hillary can't run for a number of different reasons.
Well, Joe Biden doesn't have any scandals around him right now.
No, he just says silly things.
There's a lot of sympathy for Joe Biden right now.
And she's doing so well, by the way, with the female vote, Hillary Clinton. Why did she just take out $2 million in ads in 2 key states to show that she's got empathy to appeal to the female
but when
vote?
was the last week, you remember, we didn't have big news stories about Hillary Clinton's email server. I mean, this is a cancerous plague in her candidacy.
But is it actually impacting?
Yeah, folks, you really have
it's
to look
impacting
at
trust.
No, look at
impacting
That's
the trust
what's
for
impacting.
her.
That's absolutely.
It's the best thing that happened to the Republican candidates that Hillary Clinton's got an email scandal. Joe Biden can't say anything without sounding stupid. And you've got Donald Trump leading the Republican Party.
The best thing that's happened to Hillary Clinton is Donald Trump has taken sucked all the oxygen out, and they're having this big debate on Thursday. Right now, I'm not saying that Hillary doesn't have problems. And last week we talked about her potentially being a sinking ship. What I'm saying is that Joe Biden is not going to bail the water out. In order, Democrats want someone new to come in. And I don't know if it's Tom Ford or Cory Booker or Mark Warner.
Well, it's got to be somebody because they don't want
it. It's not going to be someone in this administration.
The party elites don't want it to be Bernie Sanders. They're going to find a backup candidate.
Right.
But they're going to find a backup candidate.
Bernie Sanders is in the Ralph Nader.
But you know what? If nobody else gets in the race, he's standing there 6 months from now.
I have one more piece of data that I think is really going to be interesting. So I started to look at what impact does Trump have on the Democratic primary. And the truth of the matter is he obviously doesn't because he's not running as a Democrat. But what if he became an independent? He's on the record as saying if the Republicans don't treat him right, he would consider running as an independent. He has said that he will not sign the Republican Party pledge saying that he will not run as independent. And that's where it becomes really interesting because 1 out of 5 Democratic Party men would consider voting for Donald Trump. That means 23% of the Democratic Party could peel off. And what's fascinating and what has the Clinton people nervous is these are male, these are Southern, these are middle-aged, middle income, exactly the same voters that he's getting on the Republican side.
That is really important.
That's critical information.
Michael, I'll tell you why Michael's point is especially important. There are 14 states that have open primaries. Democrats can vote on the Republican primary. That's very, very significant for the primary campaign, not the general election campaign next year.
Wow. Yeah,
so as an independent candidate, Trump is now going to start getting the Democrats. I do not see him staying in the Republican primary after the debate. He will do the debate. He will do fine. He will get a solid B plus A minus.
Well, so long as you're drawing 26% and you're double Jeb Bush, I don't see anytime soon
fine.
But you don't think he'll be in the next debate?
September 15th.
He might be in the next
Valley.
debate. He can't afford to lose. He can't afford to lose Iowa.
Wait a second. There is something Donald Trump has that no other GOP candidate has. He has the ability to increase ratings for the news media and increase clicks online. No other candidate has that.
Correct. But he can't. But he's
that's something.
But once he's a loser, he's a loser. He will not be a loser.
All right, we will leave it there. Mike Berland, Mark Serrano, thanks so much for joining us. Great.